It's been 2 years since I last shined light on some unknown beginner demons in Geometry Dash, hence why in this video I decided to make a 2.2 special and bring some attention to numerous almost free demons no one is talking about from Geometry Dash 2.2. The reason why this part is 2.2 exclusive is especially because of the addition of platformer mode, which essentially made it so beating a first demon is arguably more forgiving than ever. Without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with a level which I have to admit is only a little bit easier than the regular easy demons, but it gets easier than this very quickly. The reason being that we're only a year into 2.2 and there hasn't been too many platformer easy demons released yet. Disregarding that, the later picks still peak in the absolute simpleness of Geometry Dash free demon experience. Room after room, along with a few other level-based platformers on this list, is known for having decently tight gameplay but compensated by frequent checkpoints. There's always only about 5 to 10 seconds of gameplay before a checkpoint, which makes it very accessible and quick for a bit experienced players with platformers. The level itself though still doesn't require any skill set necessary for regular Geometry Dash nature and focuses more on general platforming skills. 10 rooms for fun follows a simple pattern, but the room count drastically dropped from 30 to 10, which makes it a whole lot easier. I personally beat this level in only 3 minutes, which does say a lot about its difficulty. Being one of the first released platformers, 10 rooms for fun is free of any gimmicks and simply focuses on generic jumping over spikes in various different game modes. The Beacon is the first demon on this list that isn't level based, which sets it free of pretty much any danger. There's no spikes, compensated by lack of checkpoints since they aren't necessary anymore. You may consider this a getting over it level, so if you're good at those types of level design, aka you can't fall down and you have to master recovery, definitely try this level out. 60 seconds branches to a different playstyle I'll begin to mention in this video, performing under pressure, in this case a time limit. The idea itself sounds too hard for many Geometry Dash players, which made it so the time limit is usually very forgiving if you are able to play quickly. 60 seconds out of all 3 levels I mentioned with such restriction is the hardest one since it has the least room for error out of all 3, which is still very forgiving, don't worry. But it also requires strategy and learning. I suggest watching a video of the level before playing just for the sake of not hesitating whenever you don't know what to do next. 60 seconds could be easily considered an escape room based level, and if you know the path in advance, it serves a promising advantage without a doubt. 20 Trials brings us back to a level-based playstyle, with this one exponentially dropping in difficulty compared to the previous ones. There's way less general platforming skill required to advance, and the main idea revolves around figuring out what to do in each room and which path to take. After that, the rooms become very consistent super quickly. The learning process is also super forgiving because now you don't have any time limit, and the rooms are usually only about 20 seconds of raw gameplay long. Speedrun Temple swaps back to the you have 60 seconds to complete this level mechanic. Even though this one has a lot more time to spare and room for error, the gameplay unfortunately requires a lot more skill, but it's also perfectly sight-readable, and there's always a clear and distinct path you have to take. Personally, I consider this one a tiny bit harder than the later mentioned, but it really just revolves around the specific skill set you're good at, so I suggest trying out each level I'm mentioning regardless of the placement in my list. Tech City is an interesting one. This level was initially considered a medium demon, judging by the in-game rating, but every player can quickly realize that it's getting linearly easier with each checkpoint. I agree that some inputs are way harder than what this video aims for, but this level is also super short. If you can grasp these I wanna be the guy like jumps and then this one dash or timing, then you're pretty much done with 80% of the level's difficulty. Just make sure, and this is a tip for many other levels which give you this opportunity, to take your time and line yourself up perfectly when you can, since the gameplay really isn't hard unless you try to unnecessarily speedrun the hell out of this. Up until this point, the levels were mostly still appropriately of easy demon difficulty rating. That is a stretch, but I guess. But the rest is not even close. The difficulty from now on drops drastically with each level, not even feeling like they could be comparable with, I don't know, Jumper. Invisible has a gimmick, boo-hoo. Like, really, I understand why players may find memory intimidating, but from these 3 seconds, you can clearly tell exactly where you're supposed to go. The only memorization part is maybe remembering which tiles have the spikes, but the rooms are way too simple for this to be considered a demon. We're reaching a territory where the levels are clearly becoming super easy, and platformer mode is definitely an absolutely OP strat when it comes to beating your first demons. Give Me a Minute is the last level in this video dedicated to a speedrun playstyle and without a doubt the easiest. The inputs are super easy paired with a time limit, which is also very forgiving. The path might not be super clear at first, but is clearly learnable in about 5 normal mode attempts. If you're just a little bit not horrible at the game, I'm sure you can even sight read the whole level while sticking to the time limitation. Floor Elysium takes us back to the lovely level-based system, with this one being the easiest out of them all by a long shot. Okay, I see why 60 rooms can scare most player off, but come on, most of these are literally like 3 inputs long. I can pretty much do multiple rooms without death, and if you guys can give yourself some spare time to grind this out, I promise it won't be too much of a hassle either. Idling Somewhere is hardly considered a separated level / room / screen based experience, since it literally has 4 screens, which are pretty hard, but 4 screens, with one of them being like 5 seconds long. Also completely forget about this countdown, because no matter how slow you play, it's impossible to mess it up. It's more like reminding you of how short this level is. Forsaken City is a level inspired by the first chapter in an indie video game titled Celeste, which had been a big part of my life in the last couple of months, not gonna lie. Also, being a first chapter / tutorial inspiration says a lot about the difficulty of Forsaken City. There's this gimmick of moving traffic blocks represented from Celeste, with the gameplay being pretty much of similar difficulty. Very easy gameplay, which is mostly carried by new players not being patient enough to adapt to a new mechanic, but after mastering it, I promise you'll get really consistent quickly. Don't Steal My Moons is my favorite level on this list. I love the mechanics / gameplay, which is, I have to admit, very confusing at first, but let me explain. The TV screen you play in changes the environment after a few seconds, and you have to get to a flag to reach checkpoint. However, not in one attempt, which is very important. If you play slowly enough and really focus on not dying, you can progress at whatever pace you want. And even if you die, there's only gameplay worth of 2 attempts at most, so it shouldn't take long to get back. The TV screen you play in swaps between 3 different worlds, and each one you complete makes the rest easier, since you don't have to play 3 levels at once, but only 2 and then 1. However, it's worth noting that the complicated gimmick makes the actual gameplay very easy, since most players, me included, always thought that you have to be as fast as possible at all times, which resulted in many deaths, but it's really easier than you might expect. Before we continue, I'd like to humbly ask you to subscribe to my channel, since I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2025, and I promise there's a bunch of awesome videos coming up very soon. The rest of my list features a lot of very unconventional levels. My general reasoning while picking the levels for this list revolves around 2 factors. Include 3 demons specifically suitable for players good at a particular skill set, hence the speedrun or room-based playstyle, which definitely will be way easier for some than others. The second factor was to include unconventional levels, with an ideology that if players struggle at beating a demon in Geometry Dash, then a good strategy might be suggesting levels that feels the least Geometry Dash-like and focus more on general gaming skills, since in my opinion everyone is good at least something. Starting off with Third Axis, and as you might be able to probably tell, this is a completely different game at this point. I personally think most of the difficulty comes from actually being able to realize what's happening and orientate yourself. Orientate yourself, I don't know. I remember trying this out the first time, and after seeing a few lines and being completely clueless of what to do and where to go, I left the level. Then I saw someone else play it and realized, oh, that's how you do it. Being so unconventional and requiring an entirely different skill set than the other levels mentioned, I can definitely see why it got rated as a demon. Besides being literally a few easy jumps, you just have to align yourself so you see each one properly. After adapting to the environment, I'm sure this could even be considered top 3 most free 2.2 demons. Bomb Defusal could have easily been a top 1 most free 2.2 demon if it wasn't for one restriction. It's a 2-player level, which means you need to have friends to be able to play this. I mean, there might be a way to cheese the system, but I'm not encouraging that behavior. Also, if the creator Brutal Sword is watching this video, I just have to say, čau kámo, ako ide život, business, beží, všetko. Anyway, this level is a Geometry Dash version of the game Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, in which one player is required to defuse a bomb by explaining what's happening to the second player, which navigates through a bomb defusing manual. Guys, by the way, fun fact, I actually have the bomb defusing manual printed on my wall, so that's nerdy as fuck, but... Bomb Defusal is based on similar principle, with models being mostly Geometry Dash based, referencing levels such as Limbo for instance. The Lightning Road is an interesting one. I have to say it's likely the most normal level out of the top 10. I do have to warn you that while the gameplay presented is very simple, there's no checkpoints in this entire thing, or there is one, I don't remember. Either way, at the very beginning there's a tip to practice, which you definitely should, and I think you're good to go. Yeah, and the gameplay is very easy, there's like barely any timings. Spinbound Zone is very unconventional again. I mean, what is this playstyle? What do I even say? To complete this level you have to jump with a stick and navigate it to the finish? That sounds worse than telling normal sane people that you play Geometry Dash. Basically, this level is just annoying, that's it. There's barely any spikes and the gameplay is ridiculous. But this fucking stick just won't behave for the sake of it. If you have some spare time and nerves of steel, this is like super easy, but I don't recommend this for players with 100 plus easy demons completed. Gateway is very simple and straightforward. You can jump on highlighted walls and pick up double jumps, dashes and ducks along the way, which you then have to figure out when to use. And yeah, that's literally pretty much it. Barely any danger and very forgiving checkpoints. Back and forth is an interesting one, since it's mechanically wise the closest to regular mode in GD. Boo-hoo, scary, your ball never backs down, never what? I mean, now that the left and right control is out of the way, yeah, the only thing you can do in this level is jump. That's the only control. Sometimes you literally just spam the jump button, hope it works, and it usually does. But there's one more 2.2 demon that gets arguably even easier than this, and that's Ever After. Yeah, before you yell at me for putting almost an hour-long level at first place, which could arguably take you paradoxically the most time out of all levels mentioned, take into consideration we're so far into 3 demons territory, this level is a pick for absolute beginners. I tried to pick a level that focuses so hard on the story, the gameplay requires absolute zero skill. We did it! Absolute peak of 3 demon content. Everyone give it a round of applause. At this point, there's literally like 5 spikes in the whole level, I swear to god. Hopefully now I satisfied everyone hungry for those 3 demons. I love Ever After though, and Galifov's work in general, so I definitely recommend playing. Usually I'd put a lot of honorable mentions, but thus far we've received so few platformer easy demons that I think this list ended up exactly as I wanted it to. If you want to see more easy demons, make sure to check out the rest of the series, and for the last 3 years I've been trying on and off to put together a list of 100 almost 3 demons no one is talking about. However, at this point it seems very improbable that will ever get finished. If someone wanted to help me with the video, make sure to comment and we'll contact each other on Discord, since so far it seems to be an hour-long video at least. Anyway, please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to see a video of the same format but with crazier editing, check out this video. My upload schedule is the best it has ever been, and don't worry, I won't back down that easily until I hit 10k. Thank you so much for watching, till next time, bye bye!